Hey, everybody, this is Ian Lowe of Lform Design, your B2B experts. And I have, as always, my art director and expert in everything digital. Well, I don't know about that, Jeff. Jeff Karomi. Jeff, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I don't know about everything in digital, but yeah, my name is Jeff Karomi. I'm the art director here at Lform. For 15 years, I have specialized in SEO, user experience, and interface design. Though that is not all encompassing of digital.
So today we're going to be reviewing corporate graphic solutions. I do know the owner quite well, Harvey Ginsberg, so that is my little disclaimer. Harvey is in a networking group with myself, and we recently took over Harvey's site, meaning the web hosting, but we did not create this site. So I thought we would go ahead and provide an analysis today. So 3-second rule. Jeff, what does corporate graphic solutions do?
All right, so they provide professional scalable print solutions for clients like you. Oh, so like us, great.
Like us, right? So, I mean, right away, something that definitely is a concern of mine. There's no image in the hero area showcasing or video showcasing what they have done, right? That's where you're highlighting the red. So we're not seeing images of collateral material, labels. He also does boxing, promotional products. And so that's a big concern of mine. The next item is like you. Who is you? Ultimately, who is the audience? So the 3-second rule is we know what they do based on what the text is saying, but we don't have any type of supporting video or imagery. Thus, you're losing a lot of your potential clients from the onset, from on-site load. Jeff, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think this is definitely could be improved. I mean, we talked about it before, is that images can do, one of two things. And specifically in their case, it can show off your capabilities. So some of the nicer stuff you've printed, especially if you've gotten some really nice photographs, show the quality off. People care about the quality for something like a printed, packaging printed solutions. The other is, you're right, it says you, but who is you? You is everybody, whoever's looking at it. So it doesn't really provide you a lot of information. If we scroll down a little bit, you have to kind of dig a little bit more. You get down here where this starts telling you a little bit more of the stuff. So, beauty and packaging, specialty food, authors and publishers, professional services. So, you get into this website, you land on it. Let's say you're looking for printed material for your wedding. Does this tell you, can I get printed, like wedding stuff printed here? Right? No, they're aiming at business to business, larger companies, professionals, things like that. And they do mention the word professional here, but it's more of in the context of they are professional, 40 years of providing professional scalable print solutions. So yeah, I mean, this definitely is something that can definitely improve. I mean, just even if, so the rest of the website, which we'll see, has this nice kind of gradient in the background. This looks like they forgot to put an image. It doesn't look like an intentional, we didn't want an image or we wanted it clean. This looks like that gray color of a wireframe or of like place an image here, please kind of color. So immediately you come and you're saying that you provide professional services, and you look like, it looks a little like the website isn't complete yet.
Right. Agreed. They do have a call to action. I'm not a big fan of vertical text. But again, it grabs your attention. So how do we start the journey? Or we're always a big believer in tell people what to do, right? So again, I think the intention, like you mentioned, the intention is there, but again, it hasn't been, it looks like it hasn't been finalized, the hero area. As we get down, clients who trust us, carton content services. I don't know any of these clients. These are not household brand names. So is this really helping corporate graphic solutions? Is this really helping Harvey? My answer would be no. I would use something else to validate his his statements, that or some testimonials, maybe video testimonial, written testimonial, or highlight some of the actual case studies or work that they've done. Do you want to add to that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are two things here. If you're in a very specific B2B market, you can use non-household companies as long as you know that those companies are known by the audience you're actually going after, right? I'm not convinced that some of these companies would be kind of in there.
Okay.
As well as you're seeing there's a lot of space here and there's only 4 logos. So it goes, oh, these are immediately, that visually tells me there's their 4 clients. You kind of, if you had 6 to 8 logos, it would say, oh, okay, they have a lot of clients, maybe I'll look into some of the stuff they do. At least it shows numbers, right? We are a thriving company with a lot of clients. That insinuates stability, right? Because no company would want to partner with someone who's just going to be gone overnight. And when I agree with you, in this case, you may be better served by a testimonial. Case studies in particular are very useful for a company like a printing company, right? What problem was there? What problem did you solve? What do the results look like? And those do take a lot of work to put together. But they do provide a lot of information. On a homepage, you may want to pair that also with a testimonial. Testimonials are quick, they're bite-sized, they're easy for someone to consume. And as long as they're a good testimonial and they're nice and quick and to the point, that helps you provide some proof to the claims that you're making.
Wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. The other component of this is I didn't know that these were interactive elements. There's nothing from a UI perspective, user interface perspective, that clues me in that, oh, I can roll over these and click on them. They don't look like buttons. They just look like placed images. So definitely need to add some type of graphic or turn these into buttons somehow, some way. Maybe have some type of arrow, or again, some type of graphical element that helps move, that insinuates that you can click to learn more. A lot of this text could have been brought up further on the page ultimately. Right, there you go, Jeff. So Jeff's drawing some red boxes there. And exactly, right? You can have some buttons on the bottom.
Yeah, it's whenever you have what we call a directional, something you want someone to click on to direct them to another page, you want to indicate it very clearly that please click on this. Having the text hidden, these images don't give you any context to what they are. It's okay, so there's some fruit juice, there's some letters, woman reading book, there's some packaging. It doesn't say, packaging for cosmetics or
until we roll over.
Exactly.
So let's continue down this page. Our process, we listen. Again, I think this is wasted. I think ultimately you could put this on an internal page. This is not value added on the home page. However, I thought this was interesting. This is not my first time seeing the site, obviously. Jeff, this is your first time looking at this site, reviewing it. So I thought it was interesting, that we work with art directors and printing companies and fulfillment and publishing pack. That's smart because they're literally telling you right up front, these are you. Who's the you? This is the you right down here. So I think we could have done. Well, here, why don't you go ahead? You're about ready to bust open.
Yeah. So this area, I think you've misinterpreted it. So if you actually read the text, and this is something that the headline up here, instead of we collaborate, I think it makes sense that you kind of confuse this. So their art direction is their team, their internal design team. So what they're telling you with this section, or
Oh,
what the intention of this section is here's the extra support services that we can support you with. But that's a really great indication that, you know, we're going through and we're scrolling this very quickly. People generally are not reading this text, right? If it really applies to them, they may read one or two sections of this kind of text, aren't, but they don't. And well, what you did was a great illustration. We collaborate. Oh, it's collaborating with art direction, fulfillment, packaging, but it's actually the ancillary services they provide. So that could be a lot. That could be a lot clearer, and mainly that would be, you know, a headline instead of just we collaborate. Maybe making this a little more clear of you know, our services that we collaborate with you, something like that. Just make it a little more clear. But I do like the idea of the section outside of that clarity point. I do think that and I'm not against having kind of the process stuff there. Someone might be interested in that. Definitely want to move this, kind of switch these two sections. You know, think about when you're thinking about website, especially homepage hierarchy, what are the more important things? You know, obviously, you know, our process, we listen, some people may be interested in that, but it may be more interesting for them to look and go, oh, they do art direction. They can help us with the art. If you don't have, a lot of companies don't have internal art teams, or they're smaller companies that may not have the budget for that. So that stuff, I would say, is a little more important. And again, if you had a section higher up on the site that more clearly tells you what your market segments are, it might also clear up a little bit of that confusion.
good point. Yes, I didn't have enough coffee this morning. I'm obviously not reading quickly enough. Okay, so we continue on. We problem solve, get product labels on demand, resolve last minute production issues, rebrand your product line in an instant, laser target your marketing message. So these are good, but these, again, it's a lot of wasted real estate. It's very apparent to me that it appears that they used a template, meaning they didn't put a lot of thought behind the overall layout and design of this homepage. And you and I both know the homepage is one of the most important pages of your website. It's what greets the visitor. So if anything, I've noticed a lot of websites that are templated where they do put some thought, some customization into the homepage, and then the internal pages kind of fall apart. They're basic. This appears as if someone kind of threw it together, took the content, popped it in there, didn't really think about how the page flows. So ultimately, I feel as if the messaging, what they're trying to do, is well done, but not artfully executed.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I mean, you know, I've been reading a lot of this content as we've been going, and I think the content's, you know, it's pretty solid. It's well written. I'm not seeing any kind of spelling mistakes outside of some massaging of headlines that could probably be done. All the bones are here. It's just mainly a reorder. And like you said, this is the we problem solve is probably an excellent section to discuss with this, because you can, if you know, okay, we have a few headlines. These headlines are pretty good. It's got the problem solve text. I'm not against that, but it does look like maybe more should have been in here. So if we were approaching this again, I'd probably bring it higher up on the website, and you want to kind of design these sections to fill this amount of content.
All right. And then let's jump into the bottom part of this. How can we help? They're talking about, what industry. So let's see what happens. And then I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping all over here. Let's talk about the footer. And then I want to talk about site flow and the directionals here. So the footer, social media links on the bottom, perfect place for it. They have to update their copyright to 2022. I would add a copyright symbol probably, or a trademark. I think they have quick links. Yeah, they have the exact same links in your header that they have in the footer. That's fine. I think they could probably add an e-newsletter sign up or some other additional items to the footer. Again, it's a lot of wasted space, and a lot of people, as you know, as well as I do, that people immediately scroll down to the bottom of the website to get an address or a telephone number. So I'm not seeing those elements here in the footer. Again, surprising. Oh, and then I have a back to top button, apparently. That's what I just clicked. So, but I think that's actually Safari, maybe. So that's a browser thing. Anything else you want to talk about the footer before we jump back up?
No, I think you're right there. I mean, footers can be really useful for all kinds of ancillary information. I will disagree with you a little bit on newsletter signups. I think
Okay.
those are better to be pushed to a specific landing page. That way you can actually link that page out. It serves multi-purposes. Also, there are occasions where forms will slow site speed. So loading things like reCAPTCHA and whatnot may not be worth it unless you have a very robust newsletter marketing campaign to hold it up and to have a benefit from it. But you're 100% right. I mean, we have seen multiple times when we look at websites is that even if phone numbers, addresses, careers pages are in the top of the header, people will shoot immediately down to the footer. They'll just use their scroll wheel and immediately blast down here because they commonly find that information. So just having that, usually we add in a little description of the of what of the company will be, so that if someone lands on an interior page when they're, say, searching on Google, you know, in the footer, there's a little context of what you do, all of that stuff. I'm not against a very light footer like this. They are cleaner. And, you know, this website on a whole is pretty clean looking. So it kind of matches that look. But it definitely could have a few items that would be definitely improved here. I will say that while everyone is obsessed with social media buttons, you know, many people report through their own research, and we've seen it ourselves. Absolutely no one uses these buttons. Whenever we're asked to put them in there, we always try to get them into the footer. But yeah, generally, if people are looking for your LinkedIn, they're going to LinkedIn and typing your company name in like it was a search, and that's how they're going to try to find you. They want to use the native apps. So it's nice to say, it's nice to this basically says, hey, we're on social media, but we almost never see any interaction down here.
I'm kind of curious if I clicked on, let me just see what happens. Does it launch? All right, I'm not logged in right now, so I can't. Oops. Well, that being said, let's continue on with, I'm just curious if I go ahead and I click on what industry are, oh, wow. It doesn't even do anything.
Well, if you notice right down here, there is a next button. So this is what we call a step form. So there, I'm curious if you select one and then hit next where we're going. Okay, so this is 100% a stepper.
I completely missed that next button. I would never, because again, if I go back here, let's just, oh, not the Apple page. If my point being is these buttons, these items are centered, right? So we have centered or aligned centered text. Here, my eye is focused from a centered vantage point, and then these are all flush left. So these buttons need to be centered in order for me to understand. I have to click these buttons to move forward. I was clueless. Interesting.
Yeah. Right, so this is what we call an on-page stepper. So I'm just curious if you go through it, how much
do people actually fill? Oh my God, that's a lot of.
Yeah, that's quite a few steps. So one thing that I'm not seeing here is whenever you do a stepper, at some point, possibly, usually you put it up top, you want to tell people how many items they want to get through. It lets anyone that actually wants to interact with this know how they want to interact with this, and allows them to kind of fill in information. As well as you want to, so Ian, if you hit previous all the way back to the start, let's do a count of how many just selecting boxes there are in this stepper. Yeah, let's try to get back all the way to the beginning.
Oh my, this is way too many. All right.
Okay, so let's go specialty food. I'm going to give a count. Number 1, 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, 5 boxes, 6 boxes. And now we have a form. So it takes 7 steps to get to a place that a user actually interacts with this. Many of those steps, if we wanted to do a, if we, did you have to fill out an email address or anything in there? How are they going to get in contact with you?
They're not going to be able to get in contact with me.
I'm very curious how that works. So
It doesn't work. I mean, I'll give Harvey a call later, but I don't understand what's going on here.
yeah,
It's
so
obviously a waste of it's just not working. Let's be honest.
So yeah, there's multiple things we could do here. Number one is consolidating these steps. I like, first of all, on the first step, you go and it is market. Okay, that makes sense. I want to get into market.
I want to time out here because I know Harvey well. He takes a consultative approach to selling. I honestly think this is way overkill for what he does. Meaning, no one's going to interact with something that's 7 steps. Even if we reduced it to 3, ultimately, Harvey's a good listener. He understands what people need based upon his experience because he's been in the industry for decades. This is where I think just having case studies, a few testimonials, and a contact page would be just fine. I often think that, we do very large websites, hundreds of pages, sometimes thousands of pages, right? And this is where I honestly believe companies like Corporate Graphic Solutions, they don't need a lot of content in order to start the sales process. And it's a nifty tool, but if I was like Vistaprint, like multi-billion-dollar company, this makes perfect sense. For Harvey, I don't see this making any sense whatsoever. So, right? Like Vistaprint, you have to go to that. I mean, they're pretty much, it's all online there. This is really a one-to-one trying to understand your needs and then figuring out the right solution. So anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Jeff, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think a stepper could work, but like you said, 7, 8 steps really, if you get to putting in your date and then hitting submit is a lot. With a stepper, you want to kind of keep it as simple as possible. So the idea is you're separating users by a certain segment. So here we have, beauty, health, wellness, specialty food, etc. All right, you separate that. Then instead of having box after box after box, you allow a bunch of quick check boxes, and then you should be at a form where you put in your contact information. So basically you're giving them, okay, yeah, I'm in the specialty food. This is the type of packaging we need. Put in information. Now we'll contact you. It could help kind of getting across there. Again, steppers you're probably right. Steppers are not exactly the best solution, I think, here. Steppers really work for are things that need to be customized. So often meal prep, if you go to, let's say Farmer's Dog, you want to get food for your dog delivered fresh, right? One of those brands. A stepper is good because it allows you to go, okay, what type of food does he eat? Do they have allergies? It allows you to digest it and get a little far without looking at a giant form that you have to fill out, which could be intimidating.
Right.
But in this case, I don't know if there's enough information here to really warrant a stepper. But if a stepper was, is interacted with, maybe their audience does like having that. Definitely getting it down to 3 steps max would be a key element here.
All right, so let's go into the navigation. I think we did a decent job dissecting this homepage. Again, like you mentioned, don't want to sound like a broken record, but overall, good content. It looks like a lot of stock imagery. I wonder if these are actual. I doubt it, but I wonder if these are actual images up here of what they've done for people. But let's go into the
Before, there's one more thing I do want to cover here, and it's actually extremely important. If you go down to the We Collaborate section, and we see this a lot on the rest of the site, we have some major accessibility issues. I can 100% tell you that this text on white is extremely difficult for a lot of people to read who
Mm.
do not have 20/20 vision. So there is what we call contrast. You need to have enough contrast between the text and the background, about a ratio of off the top of my head, it's around 4:1. Otherwise, people who have vision impairment, maybe blurred vision, will not be able to read this text.
It's actually
And
interesting that it's white and the subtitles there, like marketing materials, is actually a dark text on the light green. So I'm
yeah,
surprised they
and
did that.
it looks clean, but it is definitely something that could easily be fixed by spacing and whatnot. But I did want to bring that up because even if you go down even further, you do the opposite when it comes to where it says we love happy clients. This is definitely not enough text
Yeah.
ratio or contrast ratio right here. So a lot more people than you imagine have accessibility problems. Probably, 10 to 15% of your audience may have some kind of cognitive vision or any kind of impairment. Someone maybe have a broken hand or something like that. There's a lot that goes into WCAG. So it is really important because imagine if 15% of your users who wanted to, or 15% of your leads who wanted to hire you or were thinking about hiring you just left your website because they couldn't read the content.
Sure.
That's a problem. So so we can keep going. I did want to point that out because it is pretty prevalent across the homepage.
I mean, and since you're bringing that up, for instance, this gradient, I find gradients very difficult when you have blocks of text on top of a gradient. I find it very difficult to read. So,
Correct. I mean, these testimonials could definitely go down a size, become that dark blue. That would probably be enough contrast between them, and the text size taller on these. Just but those are all kinds of minor tweaks and improvements that could be made.
absolutely.
It's definitely a good point.
All right, so let's talk about the navigation. Let me go back to the homepage. So what do we got going on here? I find this kind of odd where the header gets larger for it to showcase sub pages or interior pages. So, so this this is text, not a clickable link, but these are.
Yeah, and
Oh, that's so odd.
and
There's no, what do you call it, Jeff, when there's a rhythm to the navigation or interactive elements where this is not a link, these are links, this is not a link, this is not a link. I find that just the user experience doesn't make any sense. There's, again, like I'm calling it rhythm, but I'm sure there's a better name for it.
Yeah, I would actually refer to this as you're introducing friction into the user journey. So about us, like you said, this text is not clickable. All of these are, but if you look at them, they all look like the same type of text. So and when someone sees a drop-down navigation, they're going to imagine that they can click on some of these, because I didn't even notice at first. I just thought who we are and what we do were maybe separate items. But that could be, you could do this kind of layout where you have a little bit of description text if you want to get some branded stuff in there. However, these items would need to be a different color, need to have an indicator that they're clickable. So that way, when someone goes in there, they go, okay, that's not clickable, but these are, right? So you want to kind of take that down, because all it does is exactly what you were doing, Ian, is trying to click on it and going, oh, that's not even a link. You're adding friction into the user experience, and they just want to kind of get around your website.
So let's see here. If I can click on About Us. Okay. This was a video, a YouTube embed. I know that we have to, Harvey made me conscientious of trying to put the YouTube video in here. All right. So he has a little statement: managing print for 40 years in the business. There you go. 4 decades. So this is nice. I don't know if he needs a separate page. This could actually, you could probably put the video on the homepage and the statement. Happy clients there receive the same testimonials that we had on the homepage. Then we have the exact same hero area from the homepage. Let's continue on. If you click on markets we serve, this is what we call a listing page, where it's listing all the pages, I cannot, there's no click to learn more, meaning if I want to get to the beauty printing services, I have to go this way, meaning go to the drop down menu and click on them. If I just were to click on markets we serve, I can't click anywhere here to get to the same page. So multiple roads to Rome, multiple ways to get to the same page. And it's odd that with this site, there's no way to get to those multiple pages. So that's definitely concerning. Okay, so he talks about a direct mail campaign he did. Okay, so it's a kind of like it's like a mini case study almost. All right, rebranding beauty collection. All right, so he does have some. So again, this is the type of stuff I highlight one of these on the homepage. It's nice that he has this, but it's hidden, right? I have to scroll. It's on the markets we serve page. I have to scroll down, and then I'm getting to the case studies. And then he's obviously highlighting the work here. Let's see if we go into like book printing. Does he have a specific case study on what we do? Okay, our method, our specialty, why to hire us. Again, this is really good content. Let's take some time to dissect this here. So let's go back to the About Us page. Jeff, I'm sorry, I didn't allow you to weigh in on the About Us page. So
No, I think you're mainly entirely right here. There's not much I could really add on this one. Obviously, this is a bit of a problem. Looks like the YouTube video is private or something, or just has been taken down. So yeah, it's not exactly a good look to say we have video content, but it's unavailable for some reason.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's a very simple page. I would disagree with you saying, why would you even have this page? About Us pages are just expected by users. You may want to pump this content up and tell your story a little bit better. Someone who is getting to the About Us page is kind of in that mindset of, I want to know who I'm working with, right? So providing information to give you an idea, showing some team members, having a statement from the principal of the company or the CEO or the head of sales or something like that. All that stuff could be useful because people do like seeing, who they're working with.
Yeah, it could have had a headshot in here too, maybe. Could have highlighted him and one of his employees, maybe. Again, it's people want to see who they're working with or potentially going to work with. So that's it's a good thing. But again, I know that there was a video and we're in the process of trying to get it back up there where Harvey is speaking to the camera. So let's go into the markets we serve. Why don't you go ahead and give me a critique of this page?
Yeah, I think you covered everything. The problem is these look like directionals. So why aren't they directionals? People might want to see or may be directed here from Google, and they're going to go, oh, beauty and wellness, and then they'll start clicking, and then they'll start clicking multiple times. And what we call rage clicks, when they are thinking something's broken. We actually often see those in a lot of different software suites. We'll actually call those out because it is an indication that someone's a little frustrated. But they look like directionals. These should take you to the information for beauty, health, and wellness, or specialty food, or whatever information is here. And if we move down, I mean, we had talked about one of the ideas of case studies. This is content that can easily be taken. It's just a little bit, it's just easily digestible, but this kind of stuff could easily be expanded into further case studies. And by case studies, we mean, what was the problem? What was the solution? What was the results? Very simple. It doesn't have to be, a 20-page book on how you did it, but showing examples and things like that. It looks like they do have actual photography of the stuff they've done too, and it's pretty nice. So you want to feature that. Often people say B2B clients are very logic and price driven and things like that. At the end of the day, every human is emotionally driven. They want to see things. They want to go imagine, oh, my products will look that good, right? So there are just different ways of doing that. Case studies are a great way to kind of feature that and kind of go deeper. They're also a good sales tool. someone is interested, has a very similar problem, send them the solution that you did for someone else. So they have multiple ways that they can work.
Right. Agreed. All right. Yeah, and it could also, it could be a paragraph, meaning 3 to 4 sentences for the problem, right? And then, or 3 to 4 sentences talking about the company, meaning the client, and then 3 to 4 sentences talking about the problem, and then 3 to 4 sentences talking about the solution, and then the results. Again, by having 4 paragraphs, it looks meaty on a website. So people will read it if it relates to them, if they're having a similar problem. In the sales community, we call it a pain point. So again, let's continue on. Let's go to another section. Let's go into health and wellness and see how if it's any different. All right, interesting. So all right, so let's take this a little bit slower. Health and wellness. Do you want to print health and wellness product labels for your company? Are you finding it troublesome to create new labels for your health supplements? So he's asking questions on the website. I don't think this is the appropriate place to do this. So when I'm selling to somebody, I will ask these questions, but I do not ask these types of questions on the website. I just don't know if it's appropriate. I'm actually left scratching my head on this one.
Yeah, I think what you're looking, this is a visual solution. Because this is all in tiny text, someone's going to skip right over this.
Yeah.
We know that when people come to these pages, they are looking primarily at your headlines and trying to find the items on this page. And it definitely looks like this page didn't have a lot of work put into it, because it looks like just a big, long, rich text box. If you scroll down a little further, there are some areas, some little tiny accordions. So there is some functionality in here that people can interact. And even further down, there are kind of multi-columns. So there is some ability to have this, but it is very kind of boring and text heavy in an area. And if you think specifically health and wellness, I mean, you start at the top and there's this beautiful picture of packaging, right? And then you get into, all right, time to read the book. So there are definitely ways to break this up and make it a little more understandable. This is actually really interesting because, Ian, if you go to book printing service, let's see how that page functions, because it functions quite differently.
Okay. So we have, again, this is nice, big, beautiful image of a book cover. Oh, wow, look at this. So now he has infographics, so to speak, right? And he has some text, and he broke it up. Interesting, where the title, the headline is to the left. Yeah, so oh, and then he has on scroll loading elements with some graphics. There's no visual rhythm throughout the entire site. That's what I'm starting to notice. I mean, it's clean, but each page is its own little website almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, okay. I'm just going through some of the other pages really quickly on my end just to say, so yeah, book printing has had much more work. Every other page kind of, okay, so there's a little client thing that comes in.
But I think the big thing that I'm noticing throughout this site is I'm not seeing original images of what Harvey has been able, what Corporate Graphic Solutions has been able to do for their clients. I'm not, this is great, actually. This is showing a direct mail piece. And for our clients, okay, now he has our clients here. But this is specific to obviously direct mail, but I don't.
Yeah. So each interior page, I've gone through them real quickly, has kind of a different layout, which could work in some situations. Generally, you want to keep pages at least to some kind of grid system or consistency, so that if someone is going between, let's say if they they need food labels and beauty, health and wellness, right? You want them to kind of have a consistent journey. I'm currently on the food label printing, and there are a couple images brought in, but there's a lot of different stuff, different tabbed information, icons. Everything is very much.
Oh, that's nice.
It's clean in that the overall look is clean, but it is a little confusing because there is no structure. It seems like every page was thought of as its own kind of individual page, and it wasn't like FAQs and things like that at the bottom. So there's a lot, and I'll say there's a lot of good content. It just needs to be looked at and kind of consolidated so that someone can move through these pages and it feels a little more consistent.
And we're a big, we do not like accordions at Lform. We don't like any type of hidden content, and this is good content. People are okay with scrolling. So there've been multiple studies. People prefer to scroll now, especially with the advent of the iPhone or any type of smartphone. People are used to scrolling versus clicking. They prefer to not click. So again, having this hidden content is a bad thing. But you're right. There's no, oh, here we go. We actually have some food labels here. This is nice.
So that's the thing. If you have the ability to have good photos of your products, even if you're a service-driven company, if you have good photos taken of the people that work at your company, those can live for a very long time. These days, people can sniff out stock photos pretty quickly. Stock photos tend to have that blandness, that very neutral kind of tone to them visually. Because they're trying to appeal to as many people as possible. And, there are times when stock photos need to be used because there just isn't a budget, or there isn't images, but it looks like they do have imagery. So if you have that, you really want to show it off. You want to show what this stuff looks like. And the style of the photos are great. They're not just on a white background that's showing the packaging. I mean, I'm looking at the kind of the top a little further down, Ian.
Oh, sorry, let me go back.
Yeah, you get to some of these, like these labels, you show them what they look like on the packaging. They're on a countertop. So yeah, if you go to food print, that right here, these are good. They're in environment shots. There's fruit in that cup. It's not just a stack of labels sitting there like floating in floating in nothingness. So all of the stuff is really good. It really would benefit them to show it off, because people are visual creatures at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And then here, let's go through the last few sections. This is a little bit longer than our usual reviews. Okay, so paying capital management. I mean, I would link to these corporations' websites showing that they're real companies, or somehow, some way validating these companies. Again, Sandler training. I'm very familiar with Sandler because I've also done Sandler training. Green Tree Packaging. Again, testimonials are great, but then I also think they need to be coupled with either a headshot of the person or a logo of the company, or link to the website. We're not a big proponent of linking to an outside URL unless necessary. But again, in this case, I think it would be okay if it opens up a new tab, takes you to the corporation's website, just gives you that extra validation. So yeah, I mean, JD Carton around here, they're a big company, so in the Jersey area. So this is, I mean, ultimately testimonials. I don't know if it needs a separate page, but I think it's okay. I think it'd be improved upon moderately. Anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, pairing images with testimonials can be tough. Often people, maybe you need to source them from LinkedIn or something, and they aren't the best quality. Not everybody wants to have that or has the ability to get the professional headshot there.
Right.
But at least getting logos in there, like you said, links, things, and highlighting the person, the company, they do have name, position, company, that's all good. And a lot of these are they're very good testimonials. They're very, small. They're very easy to read. Some of them are a little bit longer, but I think it's good. Usually someone's going to scroll down here, and just the amount of them is great. You want to show there's a large amount of people we work with, and they've been happy with us.
All right, so let's go to the contact page. All right, he just showcased where he's located in Rochelle Park. He has, oh, all the contact information is there. That's great. So I'm not quite sure what the difference between is. I'm assuming this is a fax machine. I'm not quite sure. So again, I would have labeled this, cell phone or direct versus general inquiries. Let's see if the schedule appointment works here. All right, so you can meet with them via HubSpot. Nice. So that's cool. Schedule appointment. That's smart. I would have put that up top in the header, honestly. And the form is simple enough, not too much information. He only has one required field. I wonder if he's getting spammed up the wazoo on this because he only has one required field. I would make it so you would have to put in at least the first, last name and the company name, or maybe the phone number and the email address. But ultimately, I think it's a rudimentary contact page, but it does, it's just fine.
So. Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing with contact pages is you don't want to overthink them. If you can do me a favor, can you zoom out so we can get kind of a bigger idea of the
Sure.
overall? So you have two sections, and as we saw, the form is actually kind of below the fold and probably will be on most. There's a few things I would do here. Number one is I would get rid of this Google map. If people are trying to find it, they want to click on an actual address and open an app for this. This doesn't tell you really anything. It's so zoomed in, I can't at a glance, like you're now zoomed out, you can't really see what any of this information is. Where is it? If this was zoomed out to a point where it showed New Jersey, and then the little point, it would say, oh, okay, I know the general area. That's what
I'm in North Jersey. Yeah, like that.
And now you kind of know the section they're in. But at the end of the day, APIs for Google Maps can break. You have to pay for them in some cases. So just getting rid of it. No one really needs that. You had mentioned the icons, actually, and that is actually really good. This is a really good, if you want to zoom back in, a really good example of why you need to label things. That icons are just little images. Phone. Oh, look, it's another phone. Well, what phone number is this? So you do need to label that stuff. It's confusing. These icons don't tell you much. Now, sometimes you can get away with it if it was just a map marker, a phone, and an email. That's pretty obvious, but you generally want to get that in there. The other thing is this whole area, you want this to be at the top. You want someone to immediately see the first form field and know this is how I can contact you on the website. So this whole section should be brought up. That's the wrong arrow. Should be brought up above the fold. And you just, you can add some decorative elements. You can add images. You can add maybe a little extra text to this page saying, hey, we contact you within this amount of time, things like that. But generally, you want to make these simple. And kind of the last thing here is this form is just way too wide.
Yeah.
So when it comes to forms, you generally want, like, email would maybe be like that kind of size. Maybe you would want first name, last name, company name maybe spans again.
Yeah, you can tell this
phone number.
This is just a coding. I mean, they're obviously embedding a HubSpot form. So I think with HubSpot forms, they can be sometimes a pain to get to be constrained to a certain width. So that's really I think that's just a code thing. I agree with you, though. It looks a little wide, but ultimately it's not. For me, that's not really an issue. So yeah, we went through Harvey's site a little bit longer than normal, but I wanted to provide something to him and Corporate Graphic Solutions that maybe they can act on. And ultimately, I think, again, overall, this is a strong site. Let me do one last thing. I'm just curious. Let me just inspect this and just see what the tag. All right, so this is an H1. This where it says solutions. That's good. Let's see if it is an H2. No, it's not. But let's go into an internal page. Oh my, what happened here? Wondering if that's, let's see here. Let's see if this is an H1. It is. Okay, let's see if this is an H2. Let's just inspect that. It's an H3. Okay, so there is some thought behind the, on-site SEO. I'm sure there's more to this than just looking at some H1 and H2 tags, but ultimately, at least there was some thought put behind that. So I think let's take us out of here, Jeff. Or unless there's something else you'd like to add.
No, I think we can. I think we can kind of go into our grade here.
All right.
So what do you let's start with you, Ian. What do you think overall?
Oh, right. I forgot our grades. Jeez Louise. It's Friday. It's been a long week. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna be rough on this. I'm gonna give this a C. I know the quality of work Harvey does. I know the type of person he is. I think that's definitely weighing in on my letter grade here. This just does not do it just, yeah, I can't. Harvey's an A. This site's a solid C. I think it could become so much more. It needs to be rethought out. Take the existing content and just bring it into a better layout, a better experience. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll go with a C on this one. I think it's got good content. They obviously have quality images. I think it has, while I think the branding could be done on here a little better, it does have, the lime green and the gradients and the blue, very strong color scheme. But yeah, really it's the user friction. Getting people from point A to point B, some of the ways they're trying to generate leads, all of this could be done a little bit better. And just break it down so people can kind of understand, get to point A to point B within a few seconds, look at what they want, and then contact you. That's what this website kind of needs to do. And right now, I think it's a little bit of a journey and a little bit of a exercise from getting to point A to point B. So a lot of that is just filing off rough edges, but it could definitely be brought up to an A very easily with what I'm seeing currently on the website.
Yeah, I think with a little bit of effort in terms of, redoing, starting with wireframes, redoing the sitemap. I don't know if it's a little bit of work. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of hours poured into the initial restructuring of this, but then implementation should go smoothly. So putting in the content, but yeah. All right, so now take us out of here, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you guys enjoyed this content, again, thanks for watching. We always like informing people of what we do and our thoughts on these things. Hopefully you learned something. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like it, leave a comment below if you agree or disagree with what we've said. It really helps us get out to other people. And at the end of the day, thanks very much, and everybody take care.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Bye.